Welcome back. As I usually do, I'm going to run through an analysis of my most recent Rapid game and try to figure out what I could have done better. I did win this, spoiler alert, and my opponent was rated more than 50 points higher than me at the time. I was in the 1340s and they were 1399 while we played, and then since I won, obviously they dropped a little bit and I went up to 1350. So congratulations to me, and I'm just going to try to figure out some things. The game review, I didn't get a really good chance to go through it. It made it look like I could have done a lot better, and so could my opponent. Okay, we started with the d4, d5 openings, as are fairly common in my games. This is the queen's pawn opening symmetrical variation. I've been playing c4 recently rather than trying to do the London. Here, this is my opponent should play e6. Yeah, that's what I would do if I were on the black side at this point and get ready to bring this bishop out someplace. They played this, which I should have known this. The whole point, not the whole point, but one of the points of putting the c-pawn here is to offer an exchange of a flank pawn for a center pawn. I know that's one of the reasons for putting this here, so I could have just taken here. And that would have given me a +1. Yeah. I guess we just learned to leave these two sitting here in so many different situations, but I think that's after they've played e6. Then we just leave these two sitting here for a little while. But since they haven't made a move to defend it with a pawn, I think I just take it. And yes, they can take back, and we're even on material at that point. But I have two center pawns. Okay. Well, I didn't play that. I played knight to c3, which is normal in most of these positions. And they took my pawn then. Almost immediately. They've used less than 9 seconds here by move 5. And this next move, okay, during the game, I knew this was wrong as soon as I played it. I played it thinking, I'll kick that bishop back, but they have two defenders on that square. And for some reason, there's a difference which one they take back. They're definitely supposed to take back with the knight first. I'm not sure why there's a big difference, but there is. But they thought the same thing I thought. As soon as I moved that pawn, they just jerked that bishop back like it had been touched by a hot stove or something. But then I realized it, but I didn't realize it enough. Yeah, Stockfish saying I can just go ahead and, since that pawn is still about to be lost, I can just push it forward. But I thought the whole reason for moving the e-pawn in the first place is so that I can take this back with my light squared bishop. And I thought, well, then if they take that pawn, then we should be even on pawns, right? I had forgotten that they've already taken one of mine. We're not even on pawns. But either way, it says whether I play this or take that pawn, it's about even. I'm still about +1. I take the pawn. Then they realized they had more attackers on this square than I had defenders. And so they took. Oh, I should have taken back here. Well, I didn't. Wait. Stockfish wants this really bad. Queen to a4 check gives me +1.5. Can't they just... I would understand that if the opponent had an enemy piece right here someplace undefended, a piece that can't come back and block the check. That would make sense to me because then I could just take it. But they don't have it. I don't understand. And it says they would block with their queen, but I think they would probably block with their pawn or their knight. So it's going to be a while before I play that unless somebody can explain why queen to a4 is so great here. I just thought, and it also says this is my second best move. I actually wanted them to take me. I wanted them to take me so I could clear a spot for my bishop, have an open file for my rook, and have another pawn supporting my remaining center pawn. So I brought this back thinking that if they did take in here, then they might take this bishop, they might not, but everything's defended here. I thought, but that was their best move, and I took back, and we ended up here at about equality, so I didn't feel too bad. Again, opponent 50 points higher than me, more than 50 points. I don't feel too bad about this. They finally play e6 to get out their dark squared bishop, and is this where I castled? Yeah. Oh wow, it now wants me to check here. What? Oh. Now it doesn't matter how they block. I would pick up a pawn. It makes sense. And if I checked and they blocked this way, that might be even worse for them because I would get the pawn and then be threatening the knight. Okay, well this one I understand. I still don't understand the queen to a4 check earlier. I do get that one. The second best move is castling. Okay. That's not bad. I think that's fairly common to have the bishop sitting there and then get the knight to one of these squares later. Queen to e4. Wow, Stockfish is really fired up about these B and G pawns when there's a rook trapped behind them. That's got to be the only reason for that move, right? Oh, but now it's saying d5 is my top move. What does d5 do? I guess if they take, I would have a check here. Okay, I get that. I think I get that. d5. Well, I played a4 instead. Stockfish didn't like that. But my idea was, whoops, whoa, what happened? My idea was to go ahead and trade off the bishops here, or if they didn't trade, if they decided to move it someplace, I would attack them down there maybe. I wasn't sure exactly, but I couldn't have done that when the pawn was back here, so I pushed it forward, and who knows, maybe it might go somewhere someday. That they got their knight out, and now, now rook e1. It wants me to put my bishop on e3. The whole reason I moved that pawn was to put my bishop on a3. But before I did that, I thought, what if I got the c pawn out of the way, and I could defend that square with extra stuff. So I did that. I'm just looking at Stockfish, seeing what I should have done here instead, or what my opponent should have done. It said they could have castled, they could have played h6. Oh, I guess maybe it thought I was going to come over here. I don't know. But my opponent was clearly scared of me playing d5 here, trying to induce the e-pawn to take, and then me playing here, because that's the only explanation for playing this bishop here that I can see. The Stockfish counted that as either a blunder or a mistake on their part, but the only thing I can see about them playing that there is to guard this square. But Stockfish says I should play d5 anyway. And if I did, they wouldn't take it. And they wouldn't move the knight. Wait, what? It says they would play queen to d6 if I played d5 now. I don't know about that. I think most people I've played would have moved the knight about that point. But I don't know. d5. Okay, if anybody else can explain to me d5 here, let me know, because here when they take, I cannot move my rook over, right? Okay. Well, I went ahead with my plan over there on a3, which Stockfish did not like at all. They took it. I took back. Now they play h6. But Stockfish didn't. Stockfish says that's a mistake. Just a second ago, that was one of their top moves. But now it's a mistake, and now I should play d5, definitely. But I didn't. I didn't play d5. I thought maybe they were about to play here, and I would take, and I didn't want my queen undefended. But my queen is defended. Why? That's the only explanation for this move that I made, was this, thinking I would get rid of this pawn. Okay, I just had a blind spot. The queen was already defended. Or maybe I was thinking of moving the rook. I don't know. Okay, and they castled, which was their best move. Why did I play knight to e5 here? Oh, because I've got this lined up. I thought if they took, I'll take it, and then we're going to have a big old trade there. Maybe that wasn't a bad idea because I'm still down a pawn. d5, that's my best move. d5, definitely. All right, well, I didn't play that. I played this. And their best move is to take. And they'd be up -2 if they did, but they didn't. They went there. And now I'm supposed to go here? No, here. Still aiming at the pawn. But I did. I don't know why. Stockfish didn't like what I played. But I thought if they move the knight, I'm still hitting the pawn. Stockfish says they can defend it here, I guess. But they defended it that way. Now I should play... No, now I played d5 and it's a mistake now. What? All those times it wanted me to play d5. And now when I do play it, it's a mistake. Okay, if any of you... I'm going to hurry through the rest of this, but that's like, what, 3 or 4 times it said to play d5. And a couple times I kind of understood it, and a couple times I didn't. But then when I did play d5, it's a mistake. I know there are a few people higher rated than me that watch these videos, and if you got this far, help me out with those d5 questions. Okay, thank you. I should now play queen to d6. No, it's their turn. They should play queen to d6. They did that instead. Well, the knight's undefended. I can understand that. Why did that give me the advantage? Okay. Well, I saw it in the game much more quickly than I saw it just now, because I snap moved that. I forked those 2 pieces, and I got their rook. So I'm up in exchange. I still wasn't sure that I'd won, though, because they have more pawns than I do. This pawn over here is sitting by itself, while these 2 are kind of out on their own. And this is the reason for my next move. I made the best move in the position. My thinking was, if I don't take them, they're going to take me. And if they take me, I'm going to have one single isolated pawn out here in the middle. And then we're going to have 3-on-3 over on the king side and 3-on-1 over here. And they're going to be able to pick off my lone pawn sitting in the middle one way or another. So that's what induced me to make the best move here. And they're supposed to take back with their queen. I'm not sure exactly why, but they took back with their pawn. And I thought that was good at the time because this lineup is looking pretty nice. I thought, I'm going to be able to move this at some point, and then that pawn will be pinned. And so because I was thinking about that diagonal, I almost missed their plan. But I did see it, and I defended, but that's a mistake. Stockfish says it's a mistake to defend that. Why? I thought I was doing really good by having seen that. They were about to come crashing through. It says I should have defended with b2. Well, I wouldn't have seen that because I was definitely, as I just said, thinking about this queen on this diagonal. So I wouldn't have seen b2. What's the next? Queen to g3? Okay. Okay, now that wouldn't have been too bad. I still would have been lined up with the king, but I probably wouldn't have done it because, again, I was looking at that diagonal. Queen pointed to the king. Rook to d2. Okay. I might have seen that. And the rook is on the only open file, the only completely open file on the board. Maybe that's why that's a mistake. And I can stay on the open file and defend the pawn by d2. Okay, I understand that. At least I think that's why. Okay, I played there and that's the mistake, because it gives up the open file. My opponent's move was counted as a mistake here, but only if I play queen to d1 or queen to g3 or queen to b2 again. Nope, not b2 now. c3. Come on, Stockfish, make up your mind. Well, what I saw at some point was that this rook isn't doing anything, and I can bring it over here to the open file, which I had just abandoned with the other rook, but that's neither here nor there. But it was a mistake for me to do that. I'm not sure why. And it was a mistake for them to do that. I'm not sure why. I know what they're thinking. Their idea is they have an advantage here, a slight advantage pawn-wise, and they were trying to exploit it, I guess. Well, now my plan is the best move. So it's a good thing I made the mistake of bringing this rook down, because now my best move is to put it here, which I did. And I'm up +2. I didn't know that during the game. Even though I'm up in exchange, I thought we might be about even, and also I'm aware that my opponent is rated higher than me. And they got there somehow. They didn't get there by making a lot of mistakes and giving away endgames, I thought. But I'm up +2 here. I wish I had known that during the game. I need to work on evaluating positions. That was one of my weak points I listed months ago. Something I need to work on is evaluating the position during the game and guessing who's ahead. Now here I have a slight material advantage, but I think my opponent has more space. I don't have any pieces on their side. They have one piece on my side. They're attacking squares over on my half of the board, and they have a lot of control here. that I don't have. But I guess maybe the open file makes up for some of that. I'll have to work on that. Okay. It's their turn. They played that. I didn't know what that did, except, again, I had been thinking about this diagonal. So I'd been thinking about this pawn. And when I saw that move, I realized they've undefended this pawn. So I jerked my queen over there to attack that pawn. And as soon as I did it, I realized I've just undefended this pawn. And my opponent saw that and took it. And that defends this pawn, so it's not undefended anymore. Okay. Well, this pawn's undefended. And that pawn, I have one attacker on it. What if I could attack both of those pawns at once with this rook move? I know rooks belong on the 7th, and that's my top move, but it's not that much worse to play rook to d6, which is what I did. So I was pretty proud of that. I thought if they make some move to defend this pawn, which they can do by rook to f6, that's their top move here, or get their king off that diagonal, king to h7. Wow. So it's just assuming I'm going to take that pawn with check. All right. But what they did was they thought I was attacking this pawn, and they defended it with their knight, which undefends this pawn. And when they did that, that's when I knew I'd won. I was no longer in doubt about who was ahead. I didn't know how far ahead I was because I'm just getting a pawn with check. But since they just took this pawn, I'm no longer ahead a pawn. But now I am. They have to move their king. They move their king. And, oh, Stockfish says I should have taken this with my rook. I took it with my queen. I thought we were getting closer to an end game, and because I'm up the exchange and about to get a pawn, I thought, what about a queen trade right here? Oh, and Stockfish says their best move is to take it, but they didn't. They took my other pawn, perhaps thinking that this would be an advantage. But I just got that knight. I'm a whole rook ahead. And they have 2 more pawns than I do and 3 connected passed pawns. But guess what? I'm about to chop one of them off. It's not even listed as my best move, but I chopped it off. Bam. They don't have 3 connected passed pawns anymore. They have 2 isolated passed pawns. And they moved one of them. Okay. Well, what if I just got behind it? I know rooks belong behind passed pawns, but this has double purpose. And you'd think a 1399 would have seen that, but they didn't. What the heck does that do? It defends both pawns, but they were already defending both pawns from where they were. And it's not attacking this anymore because we already discussed that I was defending that pawn. So yeah, I just took that. They moved up here and then resigned. Wow. So yeah, right before they resigned, I was in the process of dragging my queen to this square, thinking that if they went down, I would check here. If they moved the pawn, I would check here. But they resigned there, realizing, oh yeah, he's definitely won this. Okay, so d5 was the main question in this one. I think anybody has any explanations for that, feel free to let me know in the comments. If you noticed anything else that you have a question about or advice for me, that's what the comments are for. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.